Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode... What is this? I don't even know.
2 since we've come back.
Yeah, it's episode 2. Or 3. It's episode 3 since we've come back. A Vaporwork podcast with your boys, Rest Pass and Walton. Yeah, I'm glad
episode
you remember.
Episode 59 for those of you keeping count.
For those playing the home game. 59. Yes. Oh, man. Rest Pass, how are you doing today, sir?
I am fantastic.
That is great. This is much better than last week. I'm not eating currently, so that's a positive.
Yeah.
I
should be eating. I have a meatball sandwich.
It
was nice and warm, and it's going to be cold.
I have some Hot Pockets that I can heat up, so I might eat those. We'll see.
You shouldn't heat them up. You should just eat them.
I thought about it. Just, just eating them raw, like a man.
Yeah.
Like a man eats his Hot Pockets. Oh, man. So we have a fun episode for you guys today. And the reason why I say it's fun is we don't know what we're going to talk about.
No. You don't know what we're going to talk about.
Well, in general.
I came up with something about 10 minutes ago that is...
And I think that sentence should tell you everything about what to expect for this episode.
All right, this is episode 59, correct? I'd say there's probably at least 42 different topics, right? Not counting prediction shows and review shows. I'd say we're probably somewhere in the 38 to 42, and I'm just pulling that number out of my ass.
Yeah, you really are. Fuck.
I got really
38
specific.
to 42 divided by 50. What the fuck?
But okay, let's say it's about 42 different topics. I'd say I by myself came up with 75% of them.
Oh wow, must be nice. Just continue to pat yourself on the back there.
I'm just saying, for those out there listening, unless you've hated most of our episodes, which if you're still listening and you hated our episodes, then thank you.
Then you must be one of our friends.
Yes. But if you've actually enjoyed some of them, it's come from the creative genius that is me.
Let's not say things we can't take back. This is going on the internet. So, literally, what was it? Maybe like 3 hours ago, I finally responded to RestPass saying, "Hey, can we record tonight?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." This is we're recording on Wednesday the 10th.
Yes.
And I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure." And he's asking, what topic do we have? I was just like, "Let's just shoot the shit for 45 minutes." And he's like, "I have an idea." And I'm like, Don't tell me what it is. Let's just go with it, and whatever you have, we'll see if I can answer.
And I fully lied. I did not have the idea. I just came up with it. Not like I said, probably about 10, 15 minutes before I came on here, I came up with it.
All right. Well, that's still not bad. So, what do you have? What is this elusive topic?
Okay. Well, for those of you that already seen the title of this, I figured.
Oh, that's funny.
That NBA. What?
I just realized that the title will have the
They're
topic.
They're going to know what this is before listening. Right now, it's not the first time. They are essentially, they're finding out quicker than you did.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So, NBA free agency has been a big thing, right?
I mean,
recently.
It was over in the first day?
Yeah, but I mean, it's still big. There's still got Russell Westbrook out there. All these.
He's free agent. He's still with Oklahoma. I know he's asking for a trade now because his team is terrible.
But it's.
Ooh, I got a cramp.
Technically, all these big guys actually got signed and traded and stuff too. So it's not just.
Yeah,
but you had a lot of big names moving.
What's his name? That trade was ridiculous. Was it Anthony Davis? Or was it Paul George?
Yeah. Both of them were kind of ridiculous in their own right. But I didn't want to stick on the basketball part of this.
Well, good.
I wanted to compare it to it.
We're not a basketball podcast.
I had a few questions, I guess, to compare it. There's a new rule going into the NBA. I don't know if you heard about that. And we all know.
Is it no basketball during commercial breaks?
Yes. We all know that for some odd reason, Vince likes to keep wrestling fake while needing the most meaningless real aspects to it. It's so weird how he tries to make it real in such random spots. If you remember right, when I think it might have been the missed call. It had to do with the football, I think, if I remember right. It was that missed pass interference call or something like that. Or it was the replacement refs. Remember they were doing some stupid, like, replacement ref angle where the refs were being bad and they were, like, another ref was coming in to overturn it. There was some... I don't remember what happened in sports.
Was it the Jordy Nelson touchdown, not a touchdown pass?
That's what I think. I
Green
think
Bay
so.
one?
I think so, but I can't 100% remember, but I remember they started like doing like controversial ref calls at the time, like, and it happened a couple times, and like you knew they were trying to make a major storyline out of it, and I don't think it ever panned out. But I will start with this: the new rule in the NBA. Well, for you and for those of you that may not know, they are now adding coaches' challenges.
I did hear about that.
Now, basketball is quite possibly the worst sport to do that for, because in football and baseball you have that stoppage.
Don't tell me you're asking me if we can challenge wrestling matches. Don't tell me that's don't tell me that's what we're leading to.
Let me finish this, okay? So in basketball,
because if this isn't where this is leading to, I'm not even going to download this week's episode.
What they're doing in basketball, right, is you can't challenge missed calls. You could do it in the first 46 minutes, because in the last 2 minutes of the game, there are certain things that are challengeable where they go to, like, New York and they look at it automatically. You're going to have one challenge per game, and it's essentially... It has to be on a call that you think shouldn't have happened. It can't be the other way around, because in a basketball game, it's so back and forth. I mean, what's the coach going to do? Press a buzzer, and they're just going to stop on a fast break to see if that missed call actually happened? Like, you just can't do it in basketball. So, like, if it's a foul, they can challenge and think it wasn't a foul, so they can go back and look at it. But if it was a missed foul, they can't challenge it because it stops the live action of the game. It's basically them trying to jump on the other two. You know, baseball now has coaches' challenges, and so does football. So, my question to you is, with this now moving to its third sport and knowing how Vince likes to pick the most meaningless things to attach, I will ask you, and it's not a wrestler's challenge, but it's pretty close. Could you see them doing some stupid shit where a wrestler could challenge it, like a decision of a match? Like, could you see them trying to work it some way where, like, they get to challenge, like, once
they already do that
or something like that?
I mean, so hold on.
But like, I'm saying, first off,
let me start by saying this. This is what you thought of.
No. I thought of the NBA angle. This was one of the three different things.
This is better than shooting the shit for 45 minutes to ask about wrestling challenges. Really.
Yes.
This is what we're talking about tonight.
Yes.
Listen, thank you for downloading. Thank you for listening. Come back next week. Or next episode. Holy fuck. Well, here's the one thing. They kind of do that already. They not necessarily challenges, but whenever there's a weird... They already play that up to where, you know, the ref misses a call, shoulders weren't down and stuff like that, and then, you know, the next night on Raw they review it, or if there's a fast count or something like that.
Now, I'm talking about time and place. I'm talking about happening right then and there.
I mean, they kind of do it already. They've done it before.
They've done it before, but I'm saying, like, making it an actual thing. There's a difference between it happening and them saying, like...
Well...
It sounds ridiculous. It sounds ridiculous. But to say, like, Kevin Owens is out of challenges and he had his shoulder up... and he tries to challenge it, and they're like, no, you already challenged once this month.
Nah, they're not going to do that. That's it. This is
Again,
10 minutes I can't get back.
I threw this in there. God. I realized what your reaction was going to be, which is why I started with it.
Thank you.
I could have finished with it.
Oh, you have multiple?
Yes, I told you I have multiple. I have multiple connections. That was the worst one.
Okay.
I just wanted to see.
I really didn't listen to what you
was.
had. I didn't listen to much of what you had to say. So
yeah.
But
okay. Well.
Yeah. No, I don't. Here's. to give you a more serious answer, it's not going to become a thing. Maybe they're going to incorporate it into a couple storylines going forward.
Especially if it fucks up in basketball.
Yeah, well,
they'll use it to their advantage. They'll use it to their advantage if it's getting a lot of publicity. Because now, I think if it doesn't work, if it's really bad and it's getting publicity, WWE will jump on it.
Yeah, which is fine. That's the one thing I do like about WWE is I like how they do stupid shit to tie into this kind of stuff.
Right.
So, I'm fine with that. They're going to do it. If it becomes a thing, they'll do it.
Okay. Well, then I'll move on.
Thank you.
I don't want to see it in there, by the way, if you want my opinion.
I honestly didn't want...
It was purely to get a reaction out of you.
I didn't want this question or the rest of your questions at this point.
I want everybody to know out there that was purely to get a reaction out of you, and it worked. So I'm pulling Peachy's weight. That's what Peachy was supposed to be. His Peach Pit was supposed to be questions like that, where you looked at them and threw your hands up in the air as you answered.
I did some of that.
Yeah, but it didn't. He prepared too much, and then he didn't prepare at all for the episodes we needed him to prepare for.
Whoa! This ain't a shoot podcast now, cowboy. Relax.
I'm sorry, Peach. We still love you. Okay. So,
all right. What's dumb question number 2?
I'll move on to a bigger thing. Okay. Again, this is NBA related. There's a lot of max contracts thrown around, right?
Yes.
And a lot of people, especially in the NBA, even Ben Simmons, they're talking about signing him to a max deal.
I thought this did, honestly, already with the news I heard about it.
No, not yet.
Okay.
But a lot of people felt like, they shouldn't, they should let him go to restricted free agency, all this other stuff. It's so fucked up in sports because the biggest names are underpaid when you think about how much money they're bringing in. A guy like LeBron, a guy like Kobe, those guys should be making $100 million a year when you think about how much merchandise they're selling alone. You know what I mean? But then, how do you keep on to your good players that aren't great? You overpay. And we're actually seeing that with WWE right now a little bit. You hear about how they're overpaying guys that aren't even on TV to purely stop them from going to AEW. They're offering longer contracts, all that other stuff. So my question to you is, if you had to pick 5 max contract guys in wrestling, guys that you absolutely positively would never ever let go, you would write them a blank check, and I'm talking 5 in all of wrestling. You can only pick 5.
Is this 5 to run WWE?
To run any company ever. And I know it's it's a loaded question, but it's a little bit different than saying if you started a wrestling company, who would you take? Because I'm saying 5 max guys. Max contract. They are headliners. I don't want your favorites. I want the guys that you feel like are going to sell the most for you, that you feel like deserve it.
Well, okay, so now that's very different. I like this question. I like this question a lot. I'm going to morph it a little bit.
Okay.
I'm going to morph it just a little bit. No, I'll take it the way it is. You and I are starting our own wrestling promotion.
Yeah, now I'm talking 5. They have to be your headliners. I'm not talking about your favorites. I'm not talking about, I loved X-Pac, so I want to bring him in. That's your role player. That's the guy you're bringing in to come off the bench. That
you're Kyle Korver. You're Kyle Korver if you must.
Exactly. I mean, every team has them. I'm talking about that guy that you're giving max money because you don't want to see him go anywhere else. He has to be there. He's that guy that you are paying because he's going to sell the building out on his own.
I like that. I like it. I'm looking at it. Who are the 5 guys I want to build around?
That's what I don't want it to get into that. I want.
No. When I say build around, I mean that are going to be able to. The way I'm interpreting it is, are multifaceted players that can play both offense and defense. If we're going basketball, we're playing two-way ball here.
Yeah.
I don't want just a three-point shooter. I want someone that can defend and get some rebounds as well.
Yeah. And both of our definitions will be different on this.
Yes.
And actually, you know what?
And
I will say 5 max contracts, and I'll start with you. Okay, we'll do it draft style, no snake. We'll go 1-2, 1-2. Start with you.
So if I say someone, you can't pick them.
Right. You signed them.
Okay.
So we'll see what we think is
Question.
the 10 max guys. They're active wrestlers right now.
Here's the one question or one qualifying question I will ask. Is it guys today or guys in their prime?
We'll go with today. Now remember, you think about it, basketball it's the same beast. Sometimes you're paying for what they did yesterday.
I agree. That's
why
I'm
comparing
asking,
it a little
because
bit.
that does change the.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about future. I'm not talking about what he and that's where Ben Simmons is. But you know what? Ben Simmons' contract, if they sign him now, is cheaper than if they sign him 4 years from now, because in the NBA it's tiered, and once you hit 10 years, you get that super max and all that other stuff.
Yep.
So I'm talking 5 guys, and it'll be 10 because we'll go back and forth. But yeah, you can start it.
Wow. Ooh.
And try to. It's hard not to stick with favorites of your own.
I don't think I'm going to go with favorites of my own.
But try, yeah. And
I will, but I'm not.
I know where I'm going with number 1. Whether or not you're going to go with them before me, I don't know.
Well, now you know it's a guy. Cena.
You going Cena?
John Cena.
Okay, and it's.
Okay, so
it is
perfect.
We'll explain our pick. So I want to hear an explanation.
So John Cena.
It's hard not to know the explanation, but
so John Cena, I think he's a company guy. Now here's the only thing: he's signing a max contract. He's not going out doing movies. He's WWE.
Yeah.
WWE through and through. It's in his contract.
Now, and that's you as an owner.
He'll get time off. Don't worry. We're not gonna. He's gonna relax. He's gonna rest every cut. He's not doing back-to-back games. Okay. Embiid, we got the Embiid thing there. The way I'm talking, it feels like I know basketball, but I really don't. You got to say,
you're just throwing at the little terms.
I'm the John Madden right now. So Cena, one, I think he can put on great matches. He knows how to wrestle. I think he could put on for a show. He has the mic skills to control that crowd. He brings them into the building. His merchandise sales are ridiculous. Plus, everything he does for Make-A-Wish and things like that, he is a perfect guy to have as your main person, I think, to represent your company. I want to have my company represented, yes, good wrestling is important to me. I think John Cena can do that. And John Cena also, I know you're saying these are top guys, he can fall to the middle of the card, which is what you need from a star performer. Right. I think he'll bring him into the building. He can sell out. He sold out, stadiums. Not just 20,000 stadiums, but Detroit. He's main evented. Him and The Rock sold out Mania in Orlando. You can say Rock maybe sold that one out a little bit more, but Cena was right there. You knew that going in. John Cena, number 1.
Okay. I got to be honest with you. If you took my number 1, he was my number 2. So I can't. I have no gripes with that. I think it's very excellent. Now, I know I'm going to have to explain this one, and I'm perfectly fine with that. But my number 1 pick is Brock Lesnar. It has to be. In my mind, it has to be. I look at it in this sense that, as you said, he's not going off and doing movies. I'm the Lakers telling LeBron, you want to bring your boys in? Bring your boys in. You want Paul Heyman to make just as much money as you? Bring him in. You want your own trainer? Bring him in. You want to work 1 out of every 10 days? Go right ahead, because you're going to bring eyes to our company alone. When you show up, he's the closest thing that wrestling has today, and it still is. No matter how much anybody complains, it still is the closest thing they have to that big attraction.
I agree. Hands down.
And because non-wrestling fans know him now because of the UFC. He's done enough where even football fans know him from his failed effort because
With
there
the
was a
Vikings.
lot of attention brought to it with the Vikings. He is. Him and Cena, I feel like right now, currently, are the only two that really are above wrestling. And if I'm going to sign somebody to that blank check deal and say, you take everything you need, because in my mind, people are going to love to hate them. And you know what? That Money in the Bank win is one of the most effective Money in the Bank wins they've had in a very long fucking time. And there's a reason for it. Because people hate the fact that he won it. And guess what? They don't care. I mean, it brings attention to it in that sense. I will bring negative attention that brings money. I'm perfectly fine with.
So, question for you. And if the answer to this question is no, you don't have to explain because I know why the answer is and I just don't want to give that information out. Are you thinking about going to Extreme Rules on Sunday since it's in Philly?
I told you if you decide day of, let me know and
Okay.
I'll figure it out.
Okay. The reason why I thought the answer might be no is what you told me, so that's why I wasn't sure. I'm showing you this to give you an idea. Me and Mike are on. I just don't want to. Whatever. We'll talk about it later.
Okay. I'm so confused.
Yeah. No. It's just no. No. Lesnar's.
You don't want to give away that I'm going somewhere this weekend? Is that
That's.
okay?
Yeah. That's.
All right. I'll be back home probably by 1 o'clock probably.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Then yeah. I'll let you know if I decide so. I haven't decided.
Okay.
No, so Lesnar's good. But as you said, that mainstream appeal. At the gym tonight, there was a girl with like a little flower softball shirt on. Right. On the back of it, it was hustle, loyalty, respect. It was in Cena's thing, and I was just like, they just stole that, and but that's where you're right. These two main guys are kind of bigger than.
And I know I'm taking the non-Make-A-Wish guy, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I am taking the guy that has no problem being the bad guy.
He is the only attraction. He is the freak show. He's not a freak show, but he's the one thing that, even though, listen, I became more interested in Extreme Rules going to it this weekend because Paul Heyman said Brock Lesnar might cash in on Rollins or Kofi. And that interests me, and that's what Brock Lesnar does. Listen, there's a lot of other things going on that pay-per-view. You have Ricochet versus Styles for the U.S. title, Joe versus Kofi,
Cesaro Black.
That's right, I forgot about that. But Lesnar saying it is what kind of can put it over the top for me a little bit. So that's good. I respect that one.
Yeah.
My number 2.
Here's where it's tough because I had two right off at my head, and now I'm trying to put shit in order because obviously I just came up with a little bit ago. I had no preparation. I didn't even want to do. I was only going to ask you 5, so I didn't have to think of it. So it's tough now because I feel like the 2 were a little obvious in my mind.
Omega.
Okay.
Main reason, so he's the main event star. He's got a great look. He brings in a very different mix of audiences into my company. Brings in the Japanese fan base. He brings in the video game fan base because he's a very avid and very good competitive video gamer. So the whole Fighter Fest that was at CEO Fighting Championship Series. So that's a couple different audiences I can touch there really easily. He's probably one of the best wrestlers in the world today. Not when I say probably, I'm saying he's 1, 2, or 3 of the top best wrestlers.
He's arguably the best wrestler in the world.
Yes,
that's probably the best way to
exactly. So that brings more legitimacy to my company, and I think he can talk really well. He can bring people in. For that, he can bring the wrestling fans in. John Cena is going to bring the families in. Kenny Omega is going to bring the wrestlers in.
Okay.
So that would be my number 2.
Well, I will do a slight connection to Kenny Omega, and I'll go Chris Jericho. with my second. And I mean, it's for everything that you just kind of said. Just with you have the music. Anybody that remembers the Monday Night Wars remembers him more than any of these other guys. He was a prominent figure in that time when wrestling was at its peak. He's a guy that you could tell understands the business. He is where you said John Cena can move around the card. Jericho is my guy that I can bring in and say, hey, I'll pay you max money. Lesnar's our guy. We need you to fill in when we need you to fill in.
Yep.
We need you to be the top heel in the company. We need you to be a top heel. We need you to be a top face. You're a top face. We need you to kind of slide back and start wrestling for our mid card. You wrestle for our mid card. You want to go out and do things with your bands and leave? Hey, come back with something fresh because we trust you. I'm the coach. I'm telling the coach, this dude's got free reins of the offense. He's our point guard. That's the way I'm looking at it. He's the point guard. He is who everybody else should be listening to. He is the guy.
He's the veteran.
And yes, and that's that's where he falls right in line with AEW. I find it funny because I feel like that's what he is to them.
He's their Lesnar. He's a better incarnation of the Lesnar, what Lesnar's supposed to be. I think, like he's an attraction, but he can actually still go.
Right.
And he can slide around the card, unlike Lesnar, where for the most part Lesnar's going to be in your main event.
Yeah, he has to be co-main event or main event. He doesn't have to wrestle for the title. Unfortunately, his match is probably going to overshadow the title. Yeah. Where Jericho could wrestle anywhere on the card, and it makes sense.
Interesting. So for my number 3, I have a question.
I will count tag teams as one.
Thank you. That I don't know if I have a tag team for number 3, but I was just thinking.
I was just thinking in my head too. Yes, we will count tag teams as one.
Because
I mean, hell, I said Paul Heyman came with Lesnar. I hired him as
a duo. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really hire him as a duo, but in my mind, Heyman was an extension of Lesnar. He was, hey, you want your boy here? Sure. You know what I mean? That's the way I looked at it. I mean, maybe you consider Heyman a max guy on his own, but I'm looking at from the ring perspective. Hey, you want your buddy here? Hey, you want your wife to be an announcer for? Sure. You know what I mean? That's where Lesnar. That's where my thought was with that. So that tag teams will consider one because they're considered one in wrestling. Well, outside of WWE.
Charlotte Flair.
Okay.
I think legitimately she is one of the best women wrestlers in the world. I love the whole women's movement that's essentially going on. That essentially it's, on the same level as the men's. I love the idea of how the women main event at WrestleMania. I think I think Becky Lynch has a lot more going for her, but I think so. If we're going with that, Charlotte's coming with her dad. Yeah. So what you said. So if I'm getting both.
We have a space for your dad too.
Yeah.
You want him as a manager. You want him to make appearances. Yep. You want him to just get paid and not do anything. Sure.
That's so. I think she brings a lot of that. She can wrestle. Listen. Yeah. Yes, she's given the world because of her name, but she has some ability to back that up as well. It's not to where it was like a Cena, for example, where he was just kind of always given everything, but he was never really the top wrestler or even top 5 wrestlers. Charlotte's arguably the best wrestler in the company right now. Yeah. So I think, and again, name value, the whole women's thing. On the women's side, I don't want to neglect them. I want them to be a major part of it and a serious part of it. And that's the thing, a serious part of it. Charlotte Flair is when you talk. The Divas side is nothing with Charlotte Flair. The fact that Charlotte Flair held the Divas Championship is almost a disgrace, I want to say, but she had to because that was the only title at the time. Right. It's a legitimate wrestling for that, and hell, in 2 of the last 4 WrestleManias, Charlotte Flair probably put on my favorite match. At the WrestleMania we went to, the triple threat match with Charlotte, Becky, and Sasha. At WrestleMania 34, when it was the Mania where it was Styles Nakamura, Flair Asuka was my favorite match of the night. That was with Ronda Rousey debuting. Her triple threat match was not with Ronda and Becky. Kind of faltered a little bit, but I don't think it was ever going to live up to the expectations that kind of I had for it. So, but
Right.
like 2 of the last 5, like she was in the best match. So I'd go Charlotte Flair.
Man.
Did I steal yours?
Now, I mean, she crossed my mind. I'm see, and this is why I've liked this topic a little bit. And this was kind of the meat and potatoes of this topic was this.
Dude, I'm hungry.
The max contrast. I'm sorry.
Dude, I'm hungry.
I just threw that first one in there just to kind of fuck with you a little bit. But I feel like from this point on, I'm paying a max contract to somebody who may not deserve it. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's a handful of them out there, and the rest of them I'm paying to hold on to. And I hate to do it. I told myself I wasn't going to do it, and I'm going to have to, purely because what it brings with it.
Young Bucks?
I'm giving the max contract to CM Punk.
Really?
And I'm perfectly fine with his AI type of, you know, I'll show up when I want to kind of thing. I take the attitude. I take it, and I try to put the best coach I can that can talk him up.
Well,
I bring somebody there.
Here's the thing.
That,
like, this is where like Punk right now is a bad choice for that because he doesn't want to wrestle.
Yes, and I understand.
And he doesn't want to be involved in it. But here's the one thing. And here's the one thing to where a new company. So like, if Punk was with AEW, or was not in WWE, he would still be wrestling right now. Because he got worn out by WWE's system,
yes,
not by actual wrestling,
and that's where I'm saying I have to sell him on it, and I know I do. I feel like I'm the Sixers trying to talk to Jimmy Butler right now, where all he wants to do is go to Miami, and we're trying, saying, hey, there's this here, but
I thought we already traded him.
We did.
Okay.
I'm saying I feel like
okay.
There's rumors back and forth whether or not we offered him a max contract. I think they did. Jimmy's been rumored to wanting to go to Miami since he was with Minnesota, before I think even he got traded to Minnesota. So I think he just wanted to go to Miami. But in my mind, and I'm talking about who I believe deserves a max contract, and that's where my definition of this. It's not who do I think's gettable. It's if I were to put and rank 1 through 10 who I think's deserving of me giving them this top dollar, it's the only guy who really has brought like real mainstream exposure to wrestling over the last
10 years,
15 years. And it's CM Punk. And it's no knock on anybody else. The only other, Cena doesn't bring that mainstream attention.
The Rock was probably Rock,
yeah, and The Rock coming back, but he's actor first, wrestler second. Where Punk was a wrestler first, he did something that has been tried to be duplicated, and they attempted at it again last night on SmackDown. And I love Kevin Owens, but it was an attempt at a pipe bomb, and that term is so common now.
Oh yeah,
because of what he did, and he had such great. I mean, you look at some of the stuff he did, and it was just great. And when he is trying, he might not be the most technically sound guy, but the guy, he can go. He just can. When he is putting effort toward his career, it's tough to look at the last couple years of Punk and say this guy deserves it. But I'm looking at if I can inspire him And again, I'm looking from basketball terms, and I'm looking at teams wanting to bring in a Kyrie Irving at a max contract, a guy who's underperformed, but you know he has that potential. Hell, a Jimmy Butler who's been a head case everywhere he's been, and teams still want him as a max contract. Why? Because when he's at the top of his game, he can bring something that I don't know that anybody else on these lists really can. I just don't know. We haven't seen Cena, other than his rapper gimmick, become a real heel. Punk has done it as a face and a heel. He just has. He's brought mainstream exposure to wrestling that it just hasn't been seen since the NWO DX Monday Night Wars. And if I'm going to pay a guy, and again, I'm going to give him a blank contract, and I'm just going to hope for the best. And that's where I'm putting Punk at. I understand, and that's I can only define it as he's had issues other places. I'm hoping that this veteran coach that has molded other champions can sit there and talk to him and say, hey, this is different. This is different. We're giving you the keys here. We have Jericho. We have Heyman. This is different. And hope that you get Prime wanting to try Punk and not WWE has drained me Punk. So
interesting. I disagree with that one. Like, especially because we're talking about it now.
Yeah, and right now I would still do it, and that's where I'm so on the fence because I don't know. Again, I'm thinking max contract. I don't know that anybody else there right now deserves it. And I'm not saying Punk deserves it, but I know if you can get him back to being the CM Punk we all know and love, and that's why people still chant his name to this day. I know people say, oh, he left, but people realize what he can be, and they just want it back. It's kind of like wanting to see Undertaker wrestle again. You know what you've seen in the past. You hope that he puts on a show, and then him and Goldberg die.
Oh God, that was terrible. And I feel bad. It was just yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you said Undertaker, and that really
He's not even on my top 30 if I had to pick 30.
Oh, nah, he would be there.
At max contract though, I will sign him to a veteran's minimum. He wants a mid-level exemption, I'll give him a mid-level exemption to be my veteran off the bench. You want to be my Vince Carter? I'll give you a little over the veteran's minimum. Right now, currently, he's not a max guy for me.
So now, but the concept is to make my company the most.
It could be. I mean, it could be for any reason, and that's the biggest thing. We're
trying to win a championship, right?
You're trying to win a championship.
And the winning the championship for this would be making the most money. Being the company that doesn't flounder, right?
Yeah, I mean it's bringing in viewers. Obviously, that brings in money. It's bringing in endorsements, all that stuff. Yeah, it's having cities fight for your biggest show of the year. You know, yeah.
Rey Mysterio.
Okay.
So if I'm looking at it, luchador, very popular within Mexico as a masked. I was debating between him and Andrade, just because I think Andrade, he's younger. He's the guy that has the potential.
Yeah,
but
I don't think he's the guy that you sign close to max when other teams aren't, purely because if he plays up to what his ability is, you got to steal.
Exactly, but he's not there yet. So if I go to Mexico, I'm not drawing fully on Andrade. Yes. If I go to Mexico with Rey Mysterio, I'm drawing on there, and even not in Mexico, in other city and plus in other cities in the States as well as all over the world, because he is well known. He can still wrestle, so he can still put on great matches. He'll be a great high mid card guy that could go into the title scene sometimes. A veteran presence, so can really hone that, like, be there for any of the younger guys coming up. I'd go Rey Mysterio.
Okay. Yeah, he didn't cross my mind, but it's a good one. I won't lie. I mean, we're both falling under that same thing right now, where it, like I said, I mean, we hit the max contract guys in the first couple, and I think Charlotte is, in my mind, Charlotte's a Tobias Harris, where you just have to pay her because she's giving you something that you're not going to get. So I'm torn, but if I could combine these two people, I feel like they're max contract worthy. I really hate to go this direction. I really hate it. And you're going to say, why do you hate it? But I'll give you the reason after you give me your fifth pick. AJ Styles. AJ Styles is my next max.
I'm kind of curious why you... Yeah.
Like, and I will explain after your fifth pick. I don't want to say anybody you might mention.
Okay.
So, but AJ Styles, I mean, he may not have been doing it at the level that Mysterio was, but you know,
I was debating between Styles and Omega for my number 2 spot. I just kind of went with Omega. Like, I feel.
I'm surprised he didn't go. I see what you're doing. You're trying to fill out a roster where I'm just trying to get the best available. I'm trying to be the Miami Heat here, and you're trying to win on having a full roster. Like, I feel like you're trying to force a tag team into this last spot.
Well, again, but because I'm looking for based on what
see, and in my mind, and I understand, and I think when I originally said the question, it was more who's max contracts. But then once we started picking, it did come out to be more about your company. So I understand where you're going, but I don't care. I'll fill in my other spots with veterans minimums, and I'll be the Lakers. I'll be the Miami Heat. I'll fill it up at the top. But AJ Styles, I mean, come on now. I mean,
listen, he
has done something that I felt like people thought he couldn't do, and that is, in again, it was a little bit different when people were jumping ship from WCW to WWE. I know guys have done it in the past, but you felt like a guy could not come from spending his whole career outside of WWE. And I know Daniel Bryan's done it, but I feel like he just didn't do it the same way that AJ Styles did. Like, you expected him to come in and kind of be where Nakamura is.
Hell, even Jericho didn't do it. No offense to Jericho. And Jericho, he was one of the last trailblazers to really go through the system of ECW, WCW to WWE and kind of stay there.
But he was never first ever unified champion. He beat The Rock and Stone Cold in one night, and you still don't picture him up there with them.
But he never was the top guy in ECW or WCW. Yeah. AJ Styles was the top guy in every major organization that he was in. Top guy in TNA, top guy in New Japan,
and
New Japan champion, top guy in Bullet Club, top guy in Ring of Honor too.
And thank you for defending my pick. But it's one of those things where you have it in your head that Vince likes to chop these guys down. I mean, one of the few times I've gotten chills over the last couple of years was actually realizing that was AJ Styles in the Royal Rumble.
Oh,
because he had no clue what that music was. Clue at all.
Were you over at my house for that Rumble?
Yeah,
when I flipped the F out.
Yeah, I remember we were sitting there and you just heard the music and we're like, "Who? Like, what is this? Who is this?"
And then you heard the crowd.
And then they show it says "I am," and you're even still like, and it says "phenomenal," and it's like, "Oh my god!" Like, really? Like,
well, no.
There was tiny rumors about it.
The video we saw was different. So they re-released. So the live footage that we got, and this is what was annoying, is so I heard music. I remember it really distinctively. there were rumors that Styles was coming to WWE, and like, would he be in the Rumble, because that's where Stars debut. During the initial footage that they showed live, it was counting down, and then you heard the music play, and for whatever reason, the camera was focused on Reigns.
I remember, the crowd reacted.
The crowd reacted, and I was like, is it Styles? Like, I remember, like, just saying, is it Styles? And then he came out. They didn't show the screen, and they showed the guy kind of walk out, and then I think it went to an outside shot, and you saw Phenomenal, and I'm like, it's Styles. Or no, I think he flipped his hat off, and then it was Styles. And I remember I was sitting where my chair was at. I was sitting because I almost hit Peachy's girlfriend. Almost like knocked her out because she was like sitting right in front of me, and I jumped down. I was like, yes! I was so pumped. One of the best moments.
Yeah,
and then I remember we even said too. Sorry that I'm stealing your number here, but we even said we're like halfway through. He had a great showing in the Rumble. Because I think we were like, is this a one time? We were like, is this a one-time off thing, or like? But he had such a good showing that he was like, no, he's there. They wanted to give it.
I could compare this to all this other stuff. We seen him wrestle at WrestleMania, and then the next night he got that shot against Reigns. And remember, we assumed that was Jericho. If I remember correctly, that was Jericho, Owens, Reigns, and Cesaro, right? Because it was supposed to be Sami Zayn. It was supposed to be Sami Zayn. Owens beat him down, and then Cesaro came out with the new entrance, where he came out like the James Bond entrance. Yes. Because we were trying to guess who it was going to be. We couldn't figure out. We were trying to guess who they were going to come out with, and it was a little bit of a shocker, a little bit of a letdown, because we were like, oh, okay, well, there's an outside chance it's going to be Owens, but it's probably going to be Jericho. They're going to have Jericho feud because we're like, Styles is a face, Cesaro they just had come out as a face, and Reigns is supposed to be a face. So we were like, all right, they're not going to put Reigns and Styles, and if they do, Styles is going to get squashed. And if you remember correctly, when we left, we were like, it's great they're going to give us that match, but Reigns is probably going to beat the hell out of him. Like, we did not expect what eventually came out of it. Yeah, even then, and Styles had been putting on good matches up to that point. But still, you just expected eventually for him to get chopped down, and he hasn't, and that just shows to his ability that even if Vince brought him in with that intention, that he's been able to overcome it. And it's great, and you know what? And in my mind, he's not that great on the mic. That's why he's a step below my max contract, but I'm paying him the max contract to keep him away from other teams. You know, I know he's right there, and paying them that extra $20 million, as much as I hate to do it because I feel like he might not be worth it, he's worth it more to me than he is to you. And that's why he falls at 4 for me. And he's really, really close to this other guy. And I don't know that I'm even going to end up picking him as my last pick if you don't. But I went back and forth between two guys there.
So my last one, like you said, I'm thinking of a tag team because, again, I'm trying to go, well, again, like how you presented it, well-rounded. What do I want to max contract guys that I'm essentially building my wrestling organization around?
Yeah.
I don't know what to do for tag team because, like, I want the Young Bucks, but like this is where I think I might just pick them because they're worth it. I think right now they're the best tag team. To me, they're probably the best tag team. It's either them or the Revival are one of the best tag teams there. The reason why and they're two completely different styles.
Yeah.
Young Bucks are high flying. Revival's that old school wrestling feel to it. I want to go the Revival, but if I'm looking at it as a way to keep them from you, I'm probably going to go the Young Bucks. So Young Bucks for all the obvious reasons. They can draw in the more pure wrestling fan. Tag team wrestling, I would like to be a portion of it. They can work with Omega as the elite. And then I think they'll elevate any tag team they wrestle with. So
Okay.
let's go the Young Bucks.
Yeah, I view they're the flashy. They're the Jason Williams in his prime
Yes.
with the Kings, if you will. They're white chocolate. They're who gives you the excitement. Yeah. So now I see it. I personally thought there was only one female that belonged in the top 10. You took her, and I didn't think any tag teams did. See, you're building, like I said, you're building yours. You're fitting pegs into the holes, where I'm saying I'm signing 3 small forwards, 2 point guards. You motherfuckers figure it out. That's what I'm doing. These are the 5 best available. So that's and right now it's tough. It is, because I'm at about 4 different guys. The guy I was right there with AJ Styles, and I'm not going to put it my 5th. I think I just figured out who my 5th's going to be. It's probably going to be a little bit of a surprise. Samoa Joe was right there with Styles. I like his mic skills better, but I don't think his mass appeal was as good as AJ. Which sucks, because I'm a bigger fan of Joe. Daniel Bryan was really close. But it's hard for me to
give me a slight clue.
He's not on a WWE roster.
Okada?
He's very close, but no.
What roster is he on?
I might give it away.
Moxley?
No, he might be on AEW's roster. I don't know.
So what's he on? New Japan?
No.
Ring of Honor?
Don't think so.
Fucking else is there?
This guy, and I'm purely. This is
Joey Ryan?
No. This guy is the guy where I'm like, he is a max guy that just hasn't had that chance in the spotlight yet. And when he gets there, he's not leaving it. So I'm paying him the max money because he's going to do what one of your guys is doing for you right now. And once he gets in that spotlight, he's not leaving.
He's plaid scarf?
No.
Not MJF?
No, I give him Kemba Walker money. He's not max, but I will overpay the fuck out of him. But now, I told you, I think you're going to be surprised by this.
Was he ever on WWE's roster?
I don't believe so. He has wrestled at Double or Nothing and All In.
Have we seen him wrestle?
Have we seen him wrestle? I don't believe so. Me and you together, I don't believe so. You may have on your own.
Oh. He's wrestled. Was he in a singles match or part of the Battle?
One of them he was, and one of them he wasn't.
Was it a singles? Was it Adam? No. Luchasaurus?
No. I didn't say he was in the Battle Royal.
Well, hold on. Okay,
he was
hold
in
on.
the singles match. One he wasn't.
Okay, so when I said who's he wrestled with, and you said that would give it away.
Yeah.
Okay, at this point, who does he wrestle with?
What's it called? AAA? Is that what it's called?
Penta?
Yes.
I thought so. So the Lucha Brothers were. Have I seen him wrestle?
I don't know if you have. He was in a singles match at All In, correct?
Yes.
And he was in the 6-man tag at Double or Nothing. Or no, it wasn't Double or Nothing. It was Fighter Fest. But he was in the tag match against the Young Bucks, right? At Double or Nothing.
Yeah, Double or Nothing. Yeah.
In my mind, he is a superstar. We just don't know it yet. And I think he is going to be. If they they're not specific to AEW, right? They just have a working relationship with AAA. I believe
AEW has a working relationship with AAA.
Yeah,
the Lucha Brothers might be signed with AEW. I'm gonna take a look real fast just to see.
Now, I don't know if they're specific, but once they do become specific, him and MJF are what's going to push this into the future. I don't even know how old he is, to be honest with you. No clue. But what Rey Mysterio did for you is what he will do for me. And I know it. And I'm paying now for what I know to be in the future.
So they have a non-exclusive deal with AEW because they have some legal obligations to Lucha Underground.
Okay.
So for them,
I seen him a little bit in Impact. He was their champion, right, for a little bit.
Yes.
Their heavyweight champion. I've just always been impressed by him, and he doesn't have the luchador look, if that makes sense, where he has the look of somebody that can wrestle with the big boys. You know, he has that little bit to him where I can't put Rey Mysterio there against Brock Lesnar and have it be believable. I feel like you could put Penta in front of Brock Lesnar and it not look as ridiculous. You know what I mean? He's a little bit, he has a little bit, and I don't know how tall he is. Maybe it's just because he's always wrestling against midgets that I think that he's a bigger bodied guy. But I told you it would surprise you. But if I'm going off of somebody that I think could be my headliner, that could carry me into it, I think he's a guy that wants the U.S. audience and the wrestling audience knows who he is, but U.S. mainstream audience might not know him as well. And I feel like if he were to have gotten to that level, he would take the balls by the horn. You know, he would take he just would. I feel like he's somebody that WWE would profit the fuck out of.
Oh, yeah.
He'd be that guy that'd be in championship matches, what they wanted Del Rio to be. You know, what
well,
we're hoping that Cien Almas will become.
So
that's why I said he's one of your picks with Mysterio. I'm paying a little bit more now what I think he can be for us. Where you're paying for what he already did, what you're hoping he can continue.
Yes.
And that's why, like I said, and I put him over some guys. I put him over Daniel Bryan. I put him over Samoa Joe. I put him over.
So I was considering the Lucha Brothers as my tag team because I was looking for that good mix of him and Phoenix.
And I don't want him in the tag team. I want him as a singles competitor.
I think him and Phoenix are a great tag team because they can go off and do their own thing and be very believable. Like Undertaker and Kane, similar, like, you know.
Hell, if he wants to bring his boy along again, my max contract guys, they get to bring in whoever the hell they want. He wants to bring his boy along and be a part of a tag team when I'm not using him in the heavyweights, that's fine. But in my mind, he's the guy. And to be honest with you, I'm so angry at myself because I put him against one guy that I would have put I would have put him at 3, and I'm so mad right now that I couldn't even think of him. I wish I had some type of preparation because I would have had a guy at 3, and Punk might not even have made my list, or Styles wouldn't have, because I had Penta pretty much lined up to be my 5th. I'm so angry right now. You have no clue, because there is a guy that will be the future of wrestling. He already is, and. My God, if he could stay healthy.
Who, MJF?
No, if he could stay healthy, he is the Anthony Davis of my. I don't care. I'm giving an honorable mention because he would have been 3 had I thought of him. Tommaso Ciampa.
Oh,
my God, dude. My God, if he ever could stay healthy enough, what he did in NXT is going to translate like a motherfucker to the main roster.
So
just is.
I'll give an honorable mention. And I'm mad I didn't think of it beforehand. Bullet Club. Fuck it, bring them all. Bring them all. Because, you know, I got everyone. I got Jeff Jarrett. I got Styles. I got Baylor. I got them all. Even listen, I'll take
that's a little bit. We said tag team, all right?
Well,
New Day would have been an exception. You could have brought New Day.
Nah, man. It's my max contract. Fine. Max contract guy. Go Jay White. He can bring whoever he wants. Bring the Bullet Club with him.
No, because those guys aren't getting paid max contracts with him.
Sure they are.
That's
it's
the
his
thing.
decision.
No, they're not. They're not. You don't have enough money. You're going over the cap. You're not paying the luxury. See,
they're not playing ball. They're not sitting on the bench.
Heyman's going to come on the mid-level exemption.
Oh man,
I can't believe I missed Tommaso Ciampa. I don't care. I'm going to go off why Tommaso Ciampa. Dude, he made that feud, and I know Gargano's good, but Ciampa made that feud.
It's like any movie, any story. You can have the greatest good guy ever. It doesn't make him that great if you don't have a great bad guy or a support or a contradiction to him, and that is why they both made that story.
Yeah, and think about what Adam Cole is supposed to have been for NXT. He was supposed to be a heel. They were supposed to be a bad group. They kind of rubbed a little bit off of NWO, and you know that the cool heels, and I don't know that they want Adam Cole to be cheered the way he's being cheered. You know, Ciampa was getting legit boos.
Oh yeah.
Because legit boos, and he was great. He was great. It's not like he was... Dude, when they had him come out to no music, awesome. They literally just brought in how loud those boos were by him coming down to no music. It was great. Everything he's done. His social media where he actually like spells out @ instead of actually putting the @ symbol to tag people and stuff. I'm like, dude, he is everything I'd want. And that's why I said I'm so angry. I'm so angry because I probably don't put AJ Styles on there. I probably put Ciampa at 4. That's why I said he's my honorable mention, just because it just slipped my mind. And if we had some preparation, we would have been on there. But my God, if he could stay healthy, and it scares me because I don't think he will be able to. I think this is going to be a long-going thing with him, and he may not ever get that opportunity. But he could and should be one of, if not the face of WWE. That's how good he is. And it's scary.
So this is why I think the Ciampa and Gargano feud is like the reason why he was getting so booed is because of how cheered Gargano was. And again, that's why. But that's where Adam Cole, like he was he wasn't doing the despicable things like Ciampa was, but Ciampa. That's why Ciampa made it, because he was such the anti-Gargano, or like doing everything against him to keep him down. That's what made Ciampa or Gargano so popular, and that's what made Ciampa so evil in that scenario, and that's why that story worked.
It's a little bit of Jericho, where you can almost tell that Ciampa is perfectly fine with being hated. Like, he's almost perfectly fine with going on an airplane and people spitting on him. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like, dude,
Please don't do that if you're listening.
I'm not condoning stuff like that. I'm just saying, like, you know, you've seen those old videos of, like, Jericho playing up the heel while he was in public.
Yeah.
You know? Like, they would say when he's in full-blown heel, he won't sign autographs, stuff like that. Like, he goes with it because he feels like you should be at 24/7. And that's what Ciampa is, and hopefully will still be, because he could have been at the top of his company. And that's I said, I would give him a max contract over everybody I said outside of my top 2. I don't even remember who my second one was. But outside of my top 2, he would have gotten it. Damn, who was my second one?
Jericho.
Yeah.
Ciampa
would have been right there with Jericho in my mind.
So yours went Lesnar, Jericho, CM Punk, Styles, and Penta.
Yes.
I went Cena, Omega, Charlotte Flair with Ric Flair, Mysterio, and the Young Bucks.
Yeah.
I think I can probably say definitely for sure my company would outlast yours. Not. Yeah, I probably. Yeah. Yeah. You'd be the WCW to my WWE.
I don't care because I was still going off of the original thought was who would I give a max contract to, and I'd need a lot. Like I said, I'm mad about the Ciampa thing, but I'll play by these rules that we just made up at the beginning of this and say
that we didn't even plan for.
Ciampa made his way to Toronto, and he's going to beat me in the championship because my guys are just not going to. Lesnar's going to get hurt, and so is Jericho. And Ciampa's
by the way,
beat me in the championship.
Speaking of Toronto and stuff like that, I don't like I want to get a Toronto Raptors jersey. Do you know why? The red ones with the North.
Oh,
dude, those are sick.
No, I thought you went to old school ones because those ones are the best ones. The ones with the cartoon raptor on it.
No, I want. I mean, those are good.
Ones
yeah, those are good. Those are good. But the North, come on, North, come on now. That's.
Oh, I get it.
Because we went to North Catholic. That's why we are NC. All right, all right. I'm done talking to you. I'm tired. I'm ready for bed.
I didn't really have a third part to this. It was going to be another stupid question like the challenge one. So.
Yeah, I'm glad we're not going to cover it. So listen, everyone, enjoy these episodes while we release them because we don't know when we're going to record really anymore. So we're just trying to find time in whenever we can.
Yeah, we've. I could tell you for something we pulled out of our ass.
This has been a fun episode.
I actually like this.
It was a fun episode.
the lack of preparation. Sometimes I feel like we over prepare for episodes and it doesn't come off as good as this one did. So
let's not say over prepare. Let's just say prepare.
Yeah, when I say over prepare, I mean I spent longer than a couple seconds.
Yes.
I pressed a button, so hopefully that didn't mess up my recording. Just telling you.
Please. Well, let's just end it now then to do it. So, thank you everyone for listening. We hope you enjoyed this random, bullshit episode. I had no idea about it. That's the truth.
And again, I was going to just ask a couple. I was going to ask who your top 3 max contract guys was. It was never going to become this.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad we talked about it. So, thank you everyone for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll catch you on the next one. Catch you guys later. Peace.